Today, we're uncovering Minecraft features that once had a use, but now are completely pointless, starting with the ocelot. I'll never forgive Mojang for what they did to this little guy. So, back in the day, you'd be able to venture out into a jungle and find yourself an ocelot. Now, back then, you could use some fish and tame it, and it would become your pet cat, which is great. However, during the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, this all changed. They actually officially added a cat mob that had the exact same features and AI as an ocelot. However, they spawned in many more places. Now, I'd be okay with this, but the developers decided to add salt to the wound. Not only did they add the ocelot's replacement, but they made it so ocelots could no longer be tamed at all. This mob literally has no drops or features. They then went on for some reason and kicked the mob while it was down and removed a leg, leaving it with only 3 legs. I mean, they eventually added it back in the next snapshot, but talk about making a mob useless. Alright, let's talk about these hoes. More specifically, the gold hoe, and how useless this tool actually is. The gold hoe takes 2 gold ingots to craft, yet it's literally less durable than a wooden hoe. Gold hoes, believe it or not, can only be used 32 times before breaking, comparing this to a stone hoe which is much cheaper and can be used 131 times, rendering the gold hoe absolutely useless. Probably the biggest structure in the game went from being decent to pretty useless, and that, my friends, is the Woodland Mansion. This building is pretty rare as it often spawns 10,000 blocks away from the world's spawn and can be found in dark oak forests. But why is it now useless? Well, the loot chests are pretty average and don't withhold anything you can't already get from dungeons. There's nothing really special about any of the various rooms inside, apart from the occasional diamond block rooms. But this was never the reason people actually made the trip. Players used to make the journey to find the illagers that spawned inside. There's the Vindicator that dropped emeralds, and the Evoker that dropped arguably the most overpowered item in the game, Totems of Undying. This item literally prevents you from dying, and all players that enjoy hardcore know it's pretty much essential you have this constantly in your offhand. This item alone made the journey 100% worth it, but once again the Village and Pillage update ruined this with one of its new features: raids. Raids themselves are actually a pretty cool feature, but who spawns inside these raids? Evokers, making the Totem of Undying much less rare, as you could literally summon a raid and collect Totems of Undying much easier. Not to mention the fact that raid farms now exist and you can literally farm totems with minimal effort. The only plus side that's making mansions slightly more useful is that in the recent 1.20 update, armor trims now spawn there, so there's still hope. Maps are a cool way to see an area from above, and are definitely a great feature to the game. In fact, some people don't know you can actually change the zoom on maps by putting a map in a crafting table surrounded by paper. Once the 1.14 update came out and introduced us to cartography tables, this made it a whole lot easier as you can change the scale with just 1 paper. For some strange reason though, the old crafting recipe is still actually in the game, which just seems completely pointless to me. I don't know, what do you think? By the way, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to tap that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Clocks. Don't get me started on clocks. Clocks, of course, tell us what time of day it is in Minecraft. However, an even better way of judging the time would be for players to go outside and actually touch grass. Who would have guessed? And don't come at me with the, "Yeah, but I can tell what time it is when I'm caving," because no one cares what time it is when you're caving. A pointless item. During Minecraft's early days, one extremely annoying feature was that you couldn't place a chest next to a double chest, which makes no sense at all and made storage rooms extremely inefficient. You could technically spawn one in next to a double chest, but this completely messed up the interface and gave you a triple chest. However, a lovely solution for this occurred during the 1.5 update, which added trapped chests. Regular chests couldn't neighbor double chests, but trapped chests could, and because they look almost similar, it was a great workaround for the common folk. Later on in the 1.13 update, it was implemented that chests chests were allowed to be placed next to others. And because trap chests don't really have a huge use, especially in single player, its popularity rapidly decreased. When harvesting potatoes, there's a 2% chance of a poisonous potato dropping. Now, these potatoes are pretty useless because there's nothing players can really do with them. They could eat one, but that would cause them to be poisoned for 5 seconds, so there really is no use for these items. Fishing rods allow you to not only collect food, but also treasure items like weapons, armor, and enchanted books, specifically mending books. A great way around this was old school AFK fish farms. These were tiny contraptions that allowed you to AFK overnight, for example, and you'd be stacked by morning time. Mojang, however, made it very apparent that they didn't want these in the game, as with every update came a new patch, making them harder and more awkward to build. In the 1.14 update, however, trading was added, which meant you could build trading halls and get enchanted books much easier. Also, fishing is pointless, like I mentioned in my recent video, as you can literally just jump in the water and get a full stack of food within minutes. Now, another useless mob that's on par with the ocelot is the bat. Bats can be found in caves, and its only use is to annoy you with its squeaking and getting in the way while you're mining. Just like the ocelot, the bat doesn't have any drops or any real in-game functionality. They have, however, just got a new model and texture overhaul in the 1.20.3 snapshot, along with a new wing animation, but nevertheless, still pretty pointless. Anvils. Nope, these are actually pretty useful. It's more of one of its features. Anvils are good for enchanting items with tools, repairing items, and renaming items. But which one's pretty pointless now? Repairing items. No one repairs items like this anymore, do they? I mean, on paper it sounds great, as we spend ages trying to get good enchantments on tools and armor, it surely makes sense to keep them repaired. Well, yes, but since 1.9 added mending books, it makes so much more sense, as you don't have to waste levels and resources repairing. Another useless function. Does anyone even know what they do? Are they like a mobile food van, cooking on the go? So you put the minecart on a track with coal, and it moves around without the need for powered rails. They also have the ability to push other minecarts, which allows you to make trains, but it's nothing powered rails can't do anyway. These used to be pretty decent and fun for about an update, but now no one even thinks to use them. I mean, be honest, when was the last time you used one? Let's be honest, it's pretty rare the wandering trader is ever of use. I mean, he'll spawn in out of nowhere with his 2 friends, tries to trade you incredibly average items that are usually overpriced. Most of the items he tries to trade, you can usually just go out and grab a lot of the items pretty easily. It's only random rare saplings or other items that might be worth it, but not usually. In the past, he was more useful, as there was one item in the game that you could only get through him, which was the small drip leaf. You see, during the 1.17 update, the developers were having a hard time with the terrain, so they decided to basically split the update, meaning the drip leaves were added to the game, but didn't yet actually generate naturally. Now the update's come and gone, they are mainly pointless. Alright, back to dumb crafting recipes now. So you're telling me I need to put 6 blocks in a crafting table to get 4 stairs. Every time I used to do this, I used to feel like I was getting ripped off. When the stone cutter was added, however, you were not only gifted the ability to craft different stone variation blocks easier, but get 1 stair per 1 block, which is much more efficient, and you've got to be brain dead not to be using this. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for wooden items, so we're still getting ripped off with the wooden stairs. Speaking of which, do you think Mojang should change the name of a stone cutter to a block cutter, which will allow you to cut more blocks easier? What makes me laugh is the old crafting recipe is still in the game. And what makes me laugh even more is some people actually still use this. Yes, you. I'm looking at you. Come on guys, do better. 2 potions that literally have no use. Can you guess them? The mundane potion and the thick potion. These both have no effect at all when consumed, and provides no benefit to the player in terms of increased health, speed, or enchantment. These potions are a result of making a mistake and adding the wrong ingredient in the wrong order when brewing, thus making them pointless. We can all agree that elytras accompanied by mending and fireworks is the best method of travelling within Minecraft. I mean, compared to the other methods of transport, it completely dominates them, as it's just too overpowered. With a minecart, you have to spend loads of resources on building rails and powering them, and then once you do, you're stuck to where you've laid the rails. Boats are actually pretty good on water nowadays, and would have been even better if penguins would have been added, but as soon as you come to land, they're pretty useless. Horses, however, were probably my favourite way to get around at one point, but now they're just slow and annoying in comparison. How many times have you bashed your head in a tree or got stuck in some water? The elytras deem the other methods of transport not exactly useless, but much less efficient. Is there anything I missed though? Let me know down below. Leave a like, subscribe, and check out this other video. I'll see you there.